A living laboratory, a working ranch, a place of applied science and research. This is the essence of the Corona Ranch, officially known as the Corona Range and Livestock Research Center. The Corona Ranch sits in a valley of high prairies and rolling hills, at an average elevation of 6,000 feet in central New Mexico. It is a varied ecological site, suited for research conducted by graduate students and faculty researchers. Corona Ranch is a unique agricultural experiment station, one of 12 in the state, owned by New Mexico State University and operated by the College of Agricultural, Consumer, and Environmental Sciences, also known as the College of ACES. Ranch manager Richard Dunlap is instrumental in the ranch operations and the progression of research experiments.
My main job involved with the research is making sure the cattle that we need for certain research projects are where they need to be, when they need to be, or penned or moved or whatever. A couple of weeks ago we early weaned some calves for this project, and that was my job, along with the assistance of 2 grad students, to get those pairs gathered, record weights on the cows and the calves, and then haul the calves where we needed them to be.
A variety of research is conducted at the Corona Ranch, such as developing livestock systems that help producers economically while emphasizing better stewardship of the environment. Corona researchers provide valuable data, tools, and knowledge that benefits beef producers, enabling them to raise better cattle and increase beef production. To accomplish this, they study land and grazing management practices, animal behavior, brush control, rangeland ecology, ruminant nutrition, reproductive physiology, ruminal microbiome development, animal health, and breeding. Superintendent Shad Cox, curator of the ranch for more than 25 years, understands its value to livestock producers and land managers, and especially to scientists and graduate students who spend countless hours working at the ranch.
These grad students really have to dive in deep and get going and getting their hands dirty, and they do a lot of personal work on their projects, and that actually ends up lending a great opportunity for them to be really broadly educated across the whole ranching enterprise. And so they'll be with us off and on throughout the year, sometimes 3-4 months at a time, conducting their research. But with that, they also have to come back and help us with our day work. And so they're here when we wean, they're here when we brand, they're here when we breed, they're here when we preg check. They just spend a lot of time. A lot of them will be on a PhD program. It's 3 solid seasons that they're with us, or throughout the year, but we do within those different seasons. And so it's kind of an integrated approach, a really specialized educational program for many of our graduate students.
My research utilizing 2 different vaccination strategies, and we wanted to see not only the cow response, but also what happens to her calf after it's grown and left the ranch. And so this research ideally will be invaluable to providing them with some further answers as to what vaccination strategy fits their herd and the health and well-being of that animal for their entire life. So while I'm not from New Mexico, I sought out New Mexico State University because of the applied research from a basic research principle. I had professors that had either been alumni of New Mexico State University and encouraged me to examine New Mexico State because of its potential, or they had former students or former mentors that were New Mexico State alum, and they encouraged me to examine the Corona Ranch. And so rather than conducting research primarily in a dry lot situation, we can apply it in a rangeland where the majority of cattle production occurs in the United States.
Our Corona Livestock and Research Center is well known across the nation. So because it is a working ranch research laboratory, so there's a lot of animal laboratories across the US, and there's some ranches. But this is one of the only locations, if not the only location in the United States, that produces a living laboratory of essentially a working ranch with research being conducted. And some of that research that we're focused on also involves our carbon management and soil health initiative.
NMSU scientists in 4 of the 12 agricultural science centers across New Mexico are investigating management methods to increase carbon sequestration in soil and plants. Soil scientists and experts in water, agronomy, livestock, rangeland, and food technology are all collaborating in 4 areas: urban land, forest land, cropland, and rangeland.
There's power behind the collaboration of these 4 science centers representing diverse agricultural land uses for understanding how we can more sustainably manage our agricultural landscapes and improve the storage of carbon with them at the same time. And so the initiative and the focus at Corona Ranch is how can we increase those carbon stores in rangeland environments. So Corona Ranch is a landscape that's typical of semi-arid landscapes that we find in 30 to 40% of global landscapes. So the information that we learn about sustainably managing rangelands here in New Mexico is applicable to a far wider audience than you can even imagine.
With 28,000 acres of rangeland, we have the capability of proving and learning how to monitor and how to actually measure what we can do with our soil and how we can introduce carbon into that and have healthier soils with better carbon management across the landscape.
The Corona Range and Livestock Research Center operates year-long to accommodate research conducted throughout the 4 seasons. State and federal funding is limited, so the entire facility depends on various ranch enterprises to support its operating costs.
So the Corona Range and Livestock Research Center is self-sustaining operationally. We do receive a couple of salaries, and the rest of our operating capital we have to produce annually. And with that, we have multiple enterprises, whether range livestock, so cow-calf enterprise, a registered Angus herd where we sell registered bulls. We also have sheep and wool production where we sell lambs and wool off of the ranch. And then we have a goat enterprise where we sell club-type goats to the 4-H and FFA kids across the state. We also have hunting enterprises and can enter into maybe some wood fuel enterprises.
For more than a century, the College of ACES has been in the forefront of scientific innovation in several areas of agriculture, land management, and livestock production. Since its inception in 1890, the college has produced scientists, game changers in these areas, whose research has impacted the industry and achieved great discoveries.
We value our traditions and we found our new developments in our traditional approaches. But that is not enough if we want to bring more economic development to the state. And this economic development has to impact the New Mexicans. And this goes around our 4 pillars, which is water use and management, food and fiber production and marketing, environmental stewardship, and the health of New Mexicans and these communities.
Please visit the website corona.nmsu.edu for more information.